Mr. Speaker, I'm writing to respectfully request that in your capacity as Speaker of the House of Assembly, you authorize at the earliest opportunity a debate on the 2021 final report of the Commission of Inquiry into the historic loss of land in Bermuda. The final report of the Commission, which is in the public domain, represents a critical step toward addressing a matter of profound historical and social significance for Bermuda and its people. It is essential that the House of Assembly, as the elected representative body of the people, has the opportunity to discuss and deliberate on these findings in a manner that fosters transparency, accountability, and progress. It is also the last legislative step in a process that began with the 2014 motion in the House of Assembly to establish such a commission of inquiry. I am mindful that there are ongoing legal challenges associated with aspects of the work of the commission since the release of its report in 2021. These challenges have been brought forward by claimants who were not granted legal standing in the commission process, and there is sympathy and respect for these individuals who are exercising their right to seek redress through the judicial system. Importantly, their challenges fall under the separate and independent authority of the judiciary, and it's not the intent of this request to prejudice their case or interfere with the judicial process in any way. We are advised that authorizing a debate in the House is not contingent or dependent on the legal challenges, as these legal challenges are not related to the findings and recommendations of the Commission. Should you be so minded to support this request, the debate would simply avoid the procedural matters that are still being addressed in the judicial system by these litigants. The House of Assembly would frame its debate and focus on the Commission's findings and recommendations without commenting on the Commission procedural matters currently before the courts. As indicated, the challenges before the court are procedural issues, such as the denial of legal standing, rather than the substantive findings and recommendations of the inquiry, and are unrelated to the substantive findings. Therefore, the House of Assembly should proceed with caution. This approach would ensure that the principles of the separation of powers are upheld while allowing the Assembly to fulfill its duty to address matters of significant public interest. In a Royal Gazette article dated April 15, 2025, certain litigants erroneously claimed that the debate on the Commission report was premature, stating that the Premier jumped the gun when he renewed a motion for MPs to discuss the Commission final report. It should be noted that the Commission has been wrapped up for the past 4 years. Under the separation of power doctrine, the legislative or the executive branch is legally entitled to proceed with debating the outcome of a commission of inquiry, while facing legal challenges from claimants who did not have standing at the commission. The separation of power, a constitutional principle, allows each branch to operate independently within its constitutionally defined roles. The judiciary role is to adjudicate legal disputes, but it does not prevent other branches from fulfilling their functions unless a court issues a specific injunction or ruling to hold proceedings. No court has found any aspect of the Commission's work, suspended its operations, or addressed its final report. Therefore, the other branches can continue their actions related to the Commission. The separation of power ensures that each branch operates within its domain, even when overlapping issues arise. Proceeding with the debate at the earliest opportunity would demonstrate the government's commitment to transparency and its willingness to engage with the findings and recommendations of the Commission in a constructive and respectful manner. The Commission's report is an issue of national importance and national public interest. Authorizing and proceeding with a debate would also provide an opportunity for the House to consider how best to implement the recommendations of the Commission in a way that benefits all Bermudians. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I trust that you will consider this request with the seriousness and care it deserves, balancing the need for legislative action with the integrity of the judicial process. Yours sincerely, Glenwood George Brown, for and on behalf of the ancestors and beneficiaries of the late John Augustus Alexander Virgil. George, welcome.
Yes, thank you.
I had to read this, man, to give not just the listening audience context. It speaks to the next level, and I make it clear. This isn't just the beauty about this. This is not just a Brown issue. This is, again, it's elevated now. Now this is the people's issue, and reading it brings into, boy, for me at least, when, the question of when, and how long, justice will be provided, not just in this case. How long? When we think in terms of the numerous reports that are out there, commissions that have been out there. I mean, hey, the corporate tax that's done, we'll say something about that later. Show coming up in the next 2 weeks on that. When we think in terms of the numerous reports that are sitting, sovereignty report, all sitting. But this issue is a very pertinent, important issue to speak to the will of the people to fight for that which is right. And I would say you and your family are taking the next steps that I think is important for all of us to learn from and build upon as it relates to numerous circumstances we may be dealing with. So, where are we? Where are we? I mean, we've been following in the courts. I know you can't say much about, because it's still in the courts, and but I do know with this action, this letter that you've written justifies that there's a responsibility of legislators, of governments, people whom we voted for, to address this issue and have it within the public arena. Yeah? Yes. Give us updates.
Well, first of all, I'd just like to say good evening once again to Bermuda and your listening audience. And Dr. Lou, it's always a pleasure to be on all fronts. And a big shout out also goes to Mr. Glenn Blakeney for allowing all this to happen. Mm-hmm. And before we get into this open and honest discussion, I would like to, first of all, pay tribute to the Queen Earth Angel, the freedom fighter, my late mother, Barbara Lucille Brown.
We'll be on a year already.
We're approaching a year very soon.
Yeah.
And, I just feel it in my heart, my bones, that we are moving the chains. And as she was laid to rest, I made a promise that I won't give up the fight. Right. And I'll keep pushing on, and I keep persevering, and I just continue to try to move the goalposts and move the chains. And, before we get into discussion, I also feel it's my duty to give homage to my late brother Walton Brown and keeping his legacy alive.
Absolutely.
Because without him, I don't believe I'd even be sitting here. And, I'm glad you mentioned me being here tonight isn't about the Brown family or even just the Virgil family, case 15 out of the Commission of Inquiry report. It's about public interest. It's about national importance. It's about doing the right thing. It's about healing. It's about coming clean. It's about the truth.
It's about justice.
It's about justice.
Yeah.
And it's most of this justice that it's about, in my assessment, is all historical.
All right.
And the historical injustice I speak to is the social and economic factors that have shaped patterns of land ownership in this country. The access and dispossession, particularly affecting marginalized communities. The system was designed to benefit the ruling class at the expense of the majority. That's what I was entrenched in growing up. Ever since I was able to understand English, my mother and her brothers and sisters have been fighting this matter since 1972. And now the Commission of Inquiry was put into place for people's voices to be heard.
Right.
And there are many people that have gone to their graves without being heard. And I'm here to stand up for the marginalized, the voiceless, and even for my family.
Elaborate for us, George. You guys have taken this to a step further, where there. I know in the Royal Gazette there was sentiments about almost dismissing this. I mean, if I'm understanding it correctly, and this through your investigation, because you went as far as the Privy Council to validate. I would say I wouldn't call it misunderstanding, some distortions of truth. Share with us, because it's important for the listening audience to understand not the tug of war, but deceptions that are played out legally. So this doesn't move any further than where it is. And that's a practice that we're so... as Bermudian people, especially Bermudians, black people, are very accustomed to this here, where, the goalpost is moved, things are changed, and you go through the right course of action to come to the end to find out you're told, oh, this is what you have to do now.
Correct. So what triggered me to actually write that letter and submit it was not anything to do what is taking place in Supreme Court, what's in the public domain with the matter against Banker Butterfield.
Gotcha.
What triggered me was that there's one newspaper here in Bermuda, and once a narrative is created, people tend to run with it and form perceptions.
Yeah.
And,
So you're really looking to keep the truth alive as opposed to this.
Correct. Because the headlines in the paper back in April 15th of this year was that the Commission of Inquiry report was premature. So it shouldn't be heard or debated. And my assessment, my research, and my understanding, which I've shared with several people, is such that it's not premature. Because first of all, the Commission of Inquiry report has been wrapped up for over 4 years now, approaching 5. It's been signed off by the panel board. There is no court order setting the report aside. There is no injunction setting it aside. So it's time for the legislators to do their job and have this matter debated. And before I get into all the other technicalities about it, I just want to talk about the conflict that has been going on.
Go ahead.
And the conflict's been going on way before my time, but obviously the conflict that is playing itself out in today's society. And it's all to do with the land ownership in Bermuda, which has been tied to race, with black Bermudians disproportionately excluded from land acquisitions due to the systemic.
Even home ownerships, and I'm going to place this in there if I may, because this is some recent investigative information in terms of who is getting. I know the government has set up a mortgage opportunity for first-time homeowners, especially young folk, right? Young couples, but I know there is a criticism out there toward a certain bank that has discriminated and has given, from business perspective, business loans, mortgages to, I'm going to say, a certain community, ethnic community here in Bermuda, and I'm guarded with the language. But it gets at how disproportionately, and black Bermudians, we're accustomed to the discrimination when it comes to banking practices in the black community.
Right. And it's not, in my view, just discrimination. It's the economic barriers.
Right.
You know, and from what I've seen over the years, it actually, to me, boils down to economic terrorism that's been inflicted on many black Bermudian families throughout this country.
Right.
And like I said, just going back to the article that was in the papers,
2015,
that mentioned that the premier had jumped the gun. You know, I said somebody needs to stand up for the premier because he hasn't jumped the gun. He might rely on, you know, his civil servants or whoever he relies on, but the bottom line, he hasn't jumped the gun. Because if anybody was to dig deep like I have, spoke with the Privy Council. I have the evidence to back it up.
So what did you find when you spoke with them?
I found out that article that was in the Royal Gazette, it's just a smokescreen by the two disgruntled claimants that didn't get legal standings. Because my research tells me, and if somebody correct me, the answer would be. But
and when we take the calls, any legal-minded persons out there, you want to give some clarity, go ahead.
I done some research. I'm found a trusted friend at the Privy Council in the UK, and they have done the research for me as well. And I shared the emails with you.
Yes, you did.
They have come back and said, yes, there was an eligibility check for the claimants that were not given legal standing and went through Supreme Court and the Appeals Court, and has been both times been denied. So an eligibility check just means have they run its course through the system.
Gotcha.
And that's all it is. My 12-year-old son that's at home could have been on a portal and done an eligibility check, and they gave that to the Royal Gazette, and the Royal Gazette said, wait a minute, this matters at the Privy Council. It's premature. And I'm not so sure if the Royal Gazette actually said it, but they reported it.
Right.
So my research went a little bit deeper. I said, well, if they done a check in March, what's next? And the gentleman from the Privy Council told me, once the eligibility check has been submitted and done, the next phase is for them to submit documentations and build a case within 28 days. Here we are now running in the end of October. So there is nothing at the Privy Council to justify this delay. It's just delay tactics. And my little birdie is telling me there are special interest groups out there that just don't want this debate in the House of Assembly.
Well, why would you?
Because one thing,
Yeah,
because if anybody really just dug deep like I did, and if some scholar out there can correct me, the answer would be. But I'm quite sure the guy from the Privy Council wasn't wrong. He told me under Section 12, under Rule 12, Section 2, once the eligibility check has been submitted and approved, you have 28 days to submit. They haven't submitted anything. What they done was just like what the Premier said, blockage. That's what this is all about. The voices need to be heard. You got two claimants out there creating a narrative for the other 18 claimants that have legitimate recommendations and findings out of a $1 million Commission of Inquiry report that can't be heard. So this is why I decided to write to the House and say, hey, why can't we just frame this debate accordingly? let the judicial system play itself out on two claimants that haven't been heard. They're not contesting the findings and recommendations. They're not contesting that the people that sat on the panel were in conflict or any of that. They are saying they didn't get heard, and I respect their rights. But at the same time, it's too many of our blacks just going to their graves without being heard. My mother is one of them. My uncle is one of them. My aunts is one of them. And I'm sure there's many others. So it's high time that I believe, and I'm not talking about to do the job, I'm just speaking as a citizen. Premier Burt, the Speaker of the House, they have the power to frame this debate. And the legislators need to act. They need to be called into action. This wasn't a frivolous report. This is a report based on historical injustice through theft and other means, wiping out people's wealth, generational wealth. And they're wondering why the country is as it is today. There's not even a middle class left in this country no more because people have lost so much generational wealth amongst our blacks.
Yeah, we're have and have nots in Bermuda.
It seems to me.
And even with those who have are busy trying to keep it as have nots.
We all know that land is the primary source of generational wealth.
Yeah.
And then it was back in the 70s, when it was the wild West, and it wasn't much checks and balances. They done what they want. They said, do as we say, not as we do. I mean, I don't want to get deep into my family side of it.
Well, you can't right now because there are still some things, and I don't want you to do that in terms of your situation still in the courts.
And that's fine, but I'm going to speak to what's in the public domain.
What's in the public domain, and that's what we're getting at right now.
And what's in the public domain out of that Commission of Inquiry report is that the government of the day ought to act as a matter of urgency for the corrupt scheme perpetrated by the government of the day back then, by accepting fraudulent documents, false conveyances, all of that stuff. I don't even really want to go there calling names, but all of this is just systemic. It was by design, and I call his name a lot because I use him as a yardstick. The former Premier Sir John Swan, at the time of all this wild west and no checks and balances was in place, here's a young, black, beautiful man that was soon to be premier, had earned a real estate firm for almost 10 years. I've met with him, and you can tell me that he could tell the Commission of Inquiry that he don't know what happened to the conveyance. He don't know what a clear title to conveyance is. A clear title to conveyance is when everything is clean and tidy. My mother went to her grave with the original deeds in her possession. So I'm not trying to revisit the case. All I'm just saying, case 15 out of that report, fortunately enough, has the documentation, the evidence to prove the systemic injustice, wicked behavior of the day.
And it warrants a debate in the House.
It sure does.
To give people a clear understanding, not just of the procedural process, but also of the injustices and inequities, but also with it, there are two claimants who are unheard.
Correct.
I'm understanding that they are unheard and from your perspective, they have a right to be heard.
They do.
Yeah, they have a right to be heard. At the same time as they have a right to be heard, the debate helps to bring clarity to what, because if they're in a land grab case, these two cases build upon those cases that have already been heard.
Whatever their case may be. What I can tell you is this: they was not offered legal standings by the Commission of Inquiry, and I sympathize with them in that regard. But that's a platform for somewhere else. That doesn't mean the other 18...
Those doesn't have an impact on all the others who went through the Commission of Inquiry procedurally.
Right, and the Premier was right when he spoke that all the legal challenges were substantially disposed of. Now what they're doing is just dealing with delay tactics. It's out there in the public domain. Come November 4th, we have Kawasi Davis filed another suit in Supreme Court on a constitutional matter. Here we are 5 years later. And I'm saying, why now? And I truly believe there's people behind this, behind the curtain. Mm-hmm. Like afraid to have the truth be told. And, you know, in today's world, I don't even think man need to speak anymore. The truth just rises to the top.
Why do you think at this stage, with all that has been put out there in the public domain now, that there are still people who do not want any more of this spoken publicly?
Well, I think it could go back to the basis, I guess. Some people can't just handle the truth. I mean, I can't answer why.
When I think, and when I ask this here too, George, in terms of given all that you guys have revealed and others, and what's been put out there, certainly the Bermuda public has enough evidence of certainly how persons have had their land taken through the course of this action, and help us to understand if you have any knowledge of this also. Commission of Inquiry, has there been any, other than the persons being heard, right, any judicial correction to any, if it's about historic land loss, mm-hmm. have any of those others had land returned? Has there been any compensation at this stage, to your knowledge? And I know what your family is still fighting for that's in the courts, but other cases.
I have no knowledge of anyone being compensated for the loss of land. I just have no knowledge because my tunnel vision is strictly on case 15, mm-hmm. but I just have no knowledge. But what I can tell you in a broad sense is that all what you just spoke to, mm-hmm. it's all to do with today's current conflicts. And the key reasons behind all of this is that these factors that led to the ongoing conflict with marginalized communities, mm-hmm. and it's had a profound and lasting impact on today's generation. Think about it. My mother had 5 children. Never mind with 7 beneficiaries. Do the math. It's a loss of generational wealth. Is the influence of inequality, and it's even led to crime.
Yeah.
It's led to crime. It's led to antisocial behavior. It was at a point in my life I almost gave up, where I didn't care, where I could see my mother with trash bags of evidence, the deeds, and all this stuff. And I'm saying, well, why should I live by the rules?
But you raised something earlier, and this is for others too, in terms of the eradication of the middle class in Bermuda. A place that still boasts, its GDP, its cost of living, whether we boast about it. And I mean, there's no boasting really for many of those persons who were once middle class, now find themselves not in that mm-hmm. Classification. How do we, because this issue is, like we said, land, conflict, and economics is a contributing factor to, as you just stated, to much of what we see going on currently right now, mm-hmm. right? And so when I was reading some of the documentation, the latest documentation that you gave me, it had me thinking in terms of, well, damn, we know that the economics is a contributing factor, right? And as it is a contributing factor to some of our social ills and murders, the increase of, it warrants that we look at our Constitution. It brings up, how serious are we? How serious are we to fight this fight. And that's what I do appreciate with, yes, what your family is doing, what others have done who have had to face this, the fight. Because when we look at, and I place things always in Bermuda, also in a global context, when we look at our next door big bad neighbor, America, and we're watching legislation being repealed, turned back, I say Bermuda's not far off from that. Even when you place it in the context of your case, right? That generational wealth, just by what it requires to earn a home in Bermuda because of expense, is taken. And who has access to that? Who has access to those opportunities? You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
I see your callers. I want you to just pause. Top of the hour is when we're going to bring you into the conversation. And I want you to call us, especially with some of the legal arguments that are being made. Those of you who are certainly well versed in the legalities of such issues, if you heard anything inaccurate and you want to bring clarity to it, we appreciate that. But I also say, now what questions, stretch our thinking with this issue. And we always know there are opinions. There are many opinions. But stretch your opinions into critical thought questions that make us go back to a table and throw it at, do we put this, speaker, you need to talk about this when you debate. So contribute in that manner. But go ahead. Sorry, George.
My thing is, and why I'm keeping my foot on the gas pedal also, is because I've been to the bottom. I'm almost all the way back there. But what I will say is this. I'm asking, how do we heal? If we can't correct the wrongs of the past, then how do we heal as a nation? And the thing is this. Bermuda needs to create a more just and equitable society, even for future generations.
Yeah.
And how we...
And that's the importance of this subject matter.
Right. So how can a young person that has aspirations to have ownership of land in Bermuda or a home, then it's clear from case 15, and you have the deeds, and they're worthless. In the systemic mentality that was created in Bermuda. How does that happen? That needs to be rectified, and then we can start healing. This isn't just about my family. Many families have been...
We have on the table,
lost.
And this is the consistency of what you're saying. We have right now on this island a housing issue that's attached to land. That's a housing issue. And you pointed out, our people are being displaced, moved off their land. And in this case, their land is Bermuda, where they're having to go elsewhere to sustain their way of life with the basics. England always comes into play.
Sure.
But for the basics. And the basics are not afforded to us here. When I say us, the great majority.
Correct.
And there's that displacement.
Right.
Your case just frames it in a different context. That's why it says historical land laws, right? So,
what I truly believe, and this is why I'm advocating for the Commission of Inquiry report be debated in the House of Assembly, because first of all, it's going to bring about healing. It's going to bring about healing because now we can really talk about correcting the wrongs of the past and holding people accountable.
I mean, the debate would have to bring that conclusion to some degree.
Yeah.
Because that's why I keep asking George in terms of, and I knew part of your fight is for the compensation as a family. And I want to know for those historic losses, and if evidence bears claim that, there was injustice done to these people.
I just
People may talk reparations, but where is compensation for what has been stolen?
Compensation basically is a major factor in all of this. Mm-hmm. But for me personally as well, it's very simple. Because I've been there. I've been to Westgate. Because I done it wrong. Mm-hmm. How you just let it wrong go by the wayside when the evidence is there? How? So you see the trauma that they're inflicting on our young black men? How you just let it wrong go? How?
Proof of fraudulent acts.
Yeah. How you let that go?
That's in the public domain in this case. I mean, in the whole historic.
It's all in the report.
It came out in the commission. And what were the consequences? What were out of the commission if there was clear evidence and proof there were fraudulent acts committed? Mm-hmm. Committed. What were the consequences for those fraudulent acts, other than it being revealed to the public that so-and-so committed fraud against this family or this household?
In my eyes, there hasn't been any consequences for anybody being held accountable. What I can tell you is this, that it's a feel-good thing for me, because I know me and my brother Charles has uncovered the truth. Mm-hmm. And I know when I witnessed my mother laying in her coffin back on December 18th with that big smile on her face, she already knew the answers was there.
Right.
She passed the torch with the truth.
Grounds to follow through for civil litigation? Do we say that?
We can say that. We can say that. We can say that. And, and
I'm just saying, where people have not, let's say, in the commission, it gave clear evidence of injustices, illegalities. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Commission lays that out. And recognizing that the commission lays that out, there are grounds for those persons who were subjected to those illegalities, injustice, have grounds to take it to a next step. Mm-hmm. The commission opened that can of worms to say, so let's just say hypothetically, so-and-so committed fraudulent acts against this family during the legal process of, and we know many families, black families especially, deeds were misconstrued, and so in such ways where wording was done a certain way, where lands was taken from them. Mm-hmm. That's part of some of these cases, by the way.
Correct.
And so the revelation of that now, some decades later, opens up that window of opportunity for certain civil litigation. And or court actions, such as your family's taken and others have taken. What I maintain and support in all of this here is, I think, for the Bermudian public, and why I think it's important that we repeatedly hear what's happening with this case and like-minded cases, that we keep it to the forefront, because as you have identified and pointed out, these may be historic cases, but here's the connection to what we have going on right now. And I think that's why it's important to repeatedly, as these things are being settled, we make those connections so our people know.
And I'm glad you made that point, because it's all about building trust with our people.
Yeah.
It's building trust, particularly there's from even the marginalized communities who have been most affected by this historical land theft. Mm-hmm. So if the House can debate it after they spent $1 million on this report, where does the trust even come in? And it's also closure. It's the last step of this report is to be put back to the legislators that voted for this report to be taking place. Mm-hmm. And it's going on 5 years now. It's just not making sense. Man, you got two, and I'm calling them disgruntled claimants that do not have legal standings. What are they really arguing? They didn't get heard. It's like, I understand that, but does that mean they stopped the report from being debated? Does the House agree with their assessments? Man, I spoke to people out of the UK that even do work with the Parliament, so the UK Parliament. And the UK, hold on a second, the UK Parliament has a mandate that they debate commission of inquiries, even if there are legal challenges under the separation of power and sub judice. It's different concepts. If it's a court matter, then that debate is framed away from the court matter. But the findings and recommendations are debated. Well, why have it?
Right. And we follow the Westminster system. There are grounds for it.
Of course.
So we do question why not. But I'm getting clarity on the other two claimants in that, no, it's your right to fight for, but at the same time, it shouldn't be weaponized against those who took their cases to the commission. Because it sounds like these other two are thrown into the mix to delay any actions.
That's my assessment. That's my assessment. Because if they was true to their, in my opinion, if they was true to their course, after getting an eligibility check and it being granted way back in March of this year, and they ain't submitted no more papers since then, that tells me it's just delay taxes, just different avenues they can use to cause delay. Like I said, a 10-year-old could have been on the internet and got a portal done and got an eligibility check and present that to the Royal Gazette and give a copy to the speaker. But where's the substance behind it? There isn't any.
Right.
Why? What got? Like I said, many people just go into their graves without being heard, without it being justice being served.
Right.
And I still feel I've got many years left. I'm gonna grow young. I'm not growing old. So I need to see closure too.
Got you. Okay, I mean, I saw the lines lighting up. It's evident that this is from the moment we started. From the moment the letter was being read, the lines were lighting up, and so we'll start taking calls and put you into the discourse, the conversation that is here, because this warrants serious action. I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to also. I was making some connections of this to the Constitution argument. And I want to read this here. I said, the Bermuda Constitution is no longer fit for purpose in a modern democratic society and is in urgent need of a fundamental review, which should consider the entirety of the relationship between Bermuda and the UK. This should be led by a Bermudian and involve extensive public consultation in order to increase public confidence in engagement with, knowledge about the Constitution. I then said the Brown land grab case is a pursuit of justice. It is an act synonymous with manifesting a modern democratic society. Now, let me just say, we use these great terms, modern democratic, all of that there. I accept we're a colony, so there's no democracy in a colony. That's a fact, people. A modern democratic society warrants a new constitution. Let's get there first. I even take it a step further. When I have to share this. Where is it to? Oh yes, because my constitutional guardian and teacher is Phil Panchev, and I cite him. He said, the best constitution is a constitution forged by and encompassing the people it serves. In that regard, the Bermuda Constitution, from its inception and intent, was never meant to reflect a modern democratic society or a democracy at all, for that matter. Accordingly, unless and until the leadership, this gets at some things that you've uttered, George. The leadership and people of Bermuda mature to understand and appreciate this incontestable truth. they will never enjoy a modern democratic society in Bermuda. When we do mature politically, however, we will appropriately demand and achieve sovereignty under a constitution that reflects that maturity as a free human being in a society that we truly govern. The Constitution will also define, reflect, and protect a Bermuda that will by then be renamed the Commonwealth Republic of the People of Bermuda. And some may even want to drop the Commonwealth. Any constitution operating under such supreme and unfettered sovereignty will be limited and controlled only by those who created it for their purposes and their purposes alone, right? And when I listen to that and listen to the contestation that you put on the table just for a debate, just for a debate, it begs the question, how serious are we in Bermuda when we talk about national identity? Because that's what this also addresses.
Right, and you know what really, to me, is, I'm not going to call it mind-blowing, but it really raises the red flag for me, even if this matter where it hasn't been debated yet. In a small society like Bermuda, you know, you got personal and professional relationships that interact with one another
all the time.
So I'm saying, like, for the folks that are just voiceless and marginal and just was given the natural inheritance and they can't articulate themselves, this is why I'm here. With the House of Assembly debating this, it promotes transparency. It promotes fairness. It brings closure. And it's time.
But it also raises, like you said, the greater public interest.
Correct.
And while we say that, I just find in Bermuda, it's not that we haven't had fight in us, because black people in this country have fought for much of everything that we are beneficiaries of today, right? In this crisis period in history that we are currently in, the collective worth and fight of us needs to be a bit stronger.
Right.
Because, and this gets at your case, but it gets at right now in this island, on this island, and you'll hear people talking about even some of the gentrification. Well, there is some of that in terms of when you look at the displacement around land and housing, just the basic. We would want to be doing enough fighting as opposed to flighting. We're doing a lot of flighting, our people, as opposed to fighting for the correction of some of these things. Whether we're talking about improving housing opportunities in Bermuda. That's what we're fighting against right now. The cost of living issues, reducing the cost of living in Bermuda. A lot of talk about it, no evidence, no actions being... And by the way, that's a conversation that's coming up in 3 weeks. I've been doing some homework with following up with Chris on some things.
Sure.
Right. And we're going to unpack some things that have been said that could be done. But Christmas is coming, so you know, folk, you're going to get something from Santa Claus just to titillate your curiosity and appetite, just to give you a little relief, but it doesn't solve your issue.
Right.
Yeah.
Before you take the first call, I also just like to say that the reason I'm fighting so much for this matter to be debated in the House of Assembly, because when you look around what's going on in Bermuda right now, with all the antisocial behavior and so forth, the House of Assembly sets the tone for ethical standards.
Leadership.
Yeah, they set the tone. So if
this is a plea for our leadership.
Yeah, they set the tone.
Yeah. And you began your defense in terms of the premier, because you're saying he put it there.
He put it there, and how you treated it.
And it was dismissed. You're saying?
Well, they said it was premature to debate.
Premature.
And I agree with him. And he said all the legal challenges have been substantially put aside.
So it's time for it to be.
And I sure, and there's frustration with all the blockages going on.
Yeah.
And I'm here to support his cause. I'm here to support all the families that need to be heard.
All right. Well, listen, audience. What do you have to say about the issue, whether it's not whether, because it's interrelated, the historic land grab case, this case, how it overlaps into numerous other things that we're still waiting for answers. Yet your sovereignty report, still waiting on what's the status of that. We know there's a step toward constitutional reform, what those that look like. Cost of living issue, there's more conversations coming on about that. What is your position? As we await, so George, and I'm not looking for you to divulge anything about the case itself. Mm-hmm. We know it's still in Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. We know the case is still in Supreme Court. And you're waiting on response.
Yes.
Hold on, let me just... Caller, please, go ahead. Go ahead, caller. Well, are you there? All right. Call back. I think I heard, as soon as I said, clicked it off, I heard the voice. People, if you call, speak up. But in terms of, without divulging, I know you can't divulge too much about your case. Okay, take the call now. Good night, caller. Go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Yes. And how are you this evening?
Doing well, sir.
Yes. Just listening to your guests.
Yeah.
And I sympathize with them. I've spoken with most of the people who have had claims such as this, and it's a difficult situation. Now, you asked this gentleman, does he know of any cases where people were compensated for their loss?
Yeah.
But you got to go to case law, Lou.
Yeah, but I'm asking him if through. Okay.
Yeah, when you go to case law,
do you know of? Let me ask you that then. Do you know of? And I could go to case law, but I'm asking, given his journey through it, does he know of any of those who went through it, been compensated? So I'm asking you, given I know you go to case law, do you know of any people?
And I'm going to share a case of like kind. May not be identical, but of like kind, where you can appeal to the judge's census to say,
go ahead.
When there were people who were told they had to free their slaves, they appealed to the government that they were losing property. Mm-hmm. And the British government done what? Compensated them for their loss.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah.
So So I'm saying that in case law, we could look at several situations, not identical, of how people were compensated for their loss. Now, the Bermuda government doesn't have the assets to compensate people that should be repaid, who should receive reparations, as it were.
Right, which is
maybe an appeal to the British government,
who's denying reparations. But go ahead.
Yes. You see, the present problem that we have in Bermuda is we have the lack of the services of banks. We need a new bank in Bermuda that would work with the people. And I say that to say that if you are 65 years or older, you couldn't back your son and daughter to buy a home. You see? So the house that you worked for, that you now hold the deeds for, is actually dead. The property is dead. It's useless unless you either give it to the children, then they could put you out. You don't want that. You could sell it to them for half price, where you take a life interest and you got cash to live on plus your pension. You could travel and enjoy your life. So you have to work it out with your children. But as is, a bank won't allow a person 65 years or older to back an adult child.
Yeah.
But let me go on. Now, you know the story of the fat woman. You know the story of the fat woman, Lou?
I think you've mentioned before on the show. Go ahead.
Yes, there's only one rule when you're with a fat woman. And the public's going to say, what's that? No. The point that I'm making is that when you're in a legal battle with government is that woman. She can roll over on you.
Yeah.
You spend your money, you spend your time, you frustrate yourself, and they just drag it out for as long as they want to, because money to them is nothing. But it's everything to you.
Right.
And they would blow you dry, like my good friend John Darrell.
I got you.
Had 100 houses.
Yeah.
And the lawyers, once they caught him, they said, well, Mr. Darrell, you're going to put up a house for me to defend you. And one house went, two houses went, three houses went, four houses. And they just took complete advantage of them. So I'm saying we have to decide, are we going to spend the pound to save a penny? Hello, Lou?
All right. Let me...
No, but...
Go ahead.
Let me
finish up.
on this here.
Go ahead.
Yes, let me just finish on this here. In listening to this whole conversation, we're telling a story.
Right.
I call it the Gombe. And I say that because we're dancing this thing out. And you look at the Gombe, there's jumping, there's chopping, there's digging, there's cutting, there's even whipping.
Some snake dancing in there.
Acts.
Yeah.
That's right. These are just acts. But they're not done in reality. This process is just a process. They're going to frustrate you. They're going to just
which is part of, and this is part of George's argument, that there appears to be this intent to delay for that purpose, to frustrate and move people away from it. I appreciate that. And feel free to come back in at any time, because it's something that you said. I'm going to build upon it, and I know you might have a response to this here, especially when you brought up about the bank. But yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead. Please hold, caller. Go ahead, George. You wanted to say something.
No, I just wanted to let the gentleman know that called. I appreciated him, but I believe, if I heard it right, that he said that I have a beef with the government, and I don't. I'm grateful that the government allowed this commission of inquiry to happen, to have our voices heard, and I just need to play it out.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not got any beef with the government.
Right.
And at the same time, we have, as you was just going to speak to, we have a civil lawsuit that is pending in the Supreme Court with the proper course of action, and we're just waiting for the judge's
ruling.
Really?
Yeah. Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing to me is confusing, actually. And what
and it's designed to confuse.
Josh just can tell him that.
Yeah.
It's designed to confuse.
It is designed to confuse, bro. I can tell you, but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and what even muddied the waters even further is when the brother says he has a case in the Supreme Court, and yet it seems he's waiting also for some sort of outcome from the government. And I don't see the two of those issues coming together, marrying at all. I don't see that. I think that the brother ought to work with the case he had in Supreme Court and basically leave the government alone to do what the government to do what the government desires to do. And so I was going to ask, prior to hearing he has a case in the Supreme Court, why doesn't he pursue this matter directly, or his family pursue this matter directly?
Which is what they're doing.
The government.
Which is what they're doing in the courts. They are pursuing it directly.
I get that now. And
but
so,
the government issue is that the debate, that there's grounds for this issue to be debated in government.
Well, the way I understand procedures in the House is that a bill has to be tabled. And so I have not heard of any.
Yeah. It's already been tabled. Yeah.
It's already been tabled.
It's already been tabled, yeah.
A bill, and what is the name of that bill?
The Commission of Inquiry has been tabled.
Yeah, that's how the Commission of Inquiry. That's how the Commission of Inquiry was formed.
Okay, so who tabled the bill?
The Premier.
What minister? I'm sorry?
Yeah, that's how the Commission of Inquiry was formed. It was tabled.
So what minister has tabled the bill, or who tabled it?
The Premier tabled, and that's in the public domain.
The Premier tabled a bill.
He tabled.
And you're saying that if the Premier tables a bill, so what has happened since the Premier tabled that bill?
Well, if you
what was the ruling by the Speaker? What was actually said after the Premier tabled the bill?
Okay, let me see if I can put some light on it for you.
And let him, because I want to get as much balanced calls in here. If you want to feel free to call back.
Yeah, because this thing is going to answer your question. It's kind of sounding all over the place. And if I can get from the brother, what was the Premier's position after tabling the bill? What did he actually request of the Speaker? And how was it decided that the bill be moved forward by the Speaker of the House? Because
go ahead.
Once the bill is tabled,
all of that has been answered if you already had an inquiry. But let me have him respond. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not a politician, but what I will tell you, it did get tabled in the House of Assembly, and it was up to be debated. However, it was mentioned that there were legal challenges facing the Commission of Inquiry. So out of respect, the Speaker of the House set it aside until all legal challenges had been exhausted. And today, all the legal challenges have been substantially been exhausted and set aside. And now it seems and appears that it's just delay tactics. So, you probably haven't been following it as much as certain people, so maybe you don't understand. But what I would like to share with you is twofold. We have a matter in Supreme Court against Bank of Butterfield, which is in the public domain,
right?
For what breach they have caused, and it's up to the judge to make that decision, which we are waiting. And also, out of the Commission of Inquiry's report, which was signed off in 2021, which cost the taxpayers $1 million. That report needs to be debated in the House of Assembly. But anybody that's been following it would know that there had been legal challenges that the Commission of Inquiry had been facing, and those challenges have substantially been set aside.
And this, well, I'm going to say dismissed, but certainly it has
been dismissed. I shouldn't even say set aside. Dismissed. My apologies. Dismissed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you as you raised earlier, and this is bringing clarity to the caller. Nah. Debate is the course of action, especially in Parliament in the UK, after a commission. And what you are asking for, Mr. Speaker, is that the same justice, let me put it that way, the same fairness, act of fairness, the same parliamentary procedural process be put in place or be acted upon, because it's there to be acted upon. And the debate helps to bring clarity, greater clarity to the public on the standing of where all of the issues are, but also give some clarity even where your case is going.
Right, and if you know any history of any commission of inquiry that's taken place in Bermuda, they have what was called the Pitt report.
Yeah.
After the 77 riots, and what came out of that was recommendations and findings. Yeah. It's the same principle here.
And we've been using and speaking to the Pitt report, Truman report, right? Mm-hmm. These are numerous reports we've had, and we've had callers come in. What has been acted upon? We've built upon some of those recommendations out of fairness.
Right, and that's right. It's the same principle.
Exactly. It's the same principle. It's the same principle. I got you. There's what people need to understand. This is not something that is really clear cut. You know, not when you're fighting for land.
I'll tell you what's clear cut. I'll tell you what I believe is clear cut. This Commission of Inquiry was born back in 2014. There was a march up to Government House. It didn't get passed originally, or the government said it wasn't warranted. My late brother, Walton Brown, the Honorable Walton Brown, was a champion in this matter in getting it into the House of Assembly and getting it passed, and here we are now have a Commission of Inquiry report. I don't understand what's so hard about it. It was a Commission of Inquiry report. They put it out there to the public. If anybody has any issues that they want to bring forward based on historic laws of land or any injustice, bring it. And 18 claimants got heard. And my family was one of them. Mm-hmm. And this report is no different from the Pitt report. The only difference I see, like Dr. Lou just said, is fair. Back in the 77 riots, the Pitt report came up with recommendations and findings to calm the country down based on race and equity and everything. And here we are today trying to correct the wrongs of the injustice that was inflicted on many black marginal families.
And what recommendations can come out of this report to see to it that this never happens again?
Correct.
Yeah? Or not just that it never happens again, what corrections can be put in place right now to contest or even to support land acquisition in Bermuda or real estate acquisition in Bermuda where there's equity in the process.
Of course. And why should I give up this fight? Man, my mother and my aunts and uncles, they all tell me how they grew up on this land. The land had been in the family for over 100 years. And then, I'm not going to call the names right now, but man, a certain lawyer got involved and a certain bank got involved, Bank of Butterfield. The land was gone inside of 6 months. After 100 years. So I can't give this up. It's 7 acres of land. Why wouldn't we want to be compensated? I don't know where it's going to come from, but why wouldn't we be?
And our caller, and Rodney spoke to this here too, because he cited actually John Darrell's cases. I mean, the legal process also can drain people's resources. All right, where in Darrell's circumstances, his resources were drained enough fighting this, that what he was fighting for ended up having to pay for legal.
See, and the difference is, and bless his heart.
And yours is not that scenario.
It's not that, because I feel me and my brother, we have the educational, the wits, the smarts to just be just like lawyers. What's so different about them and us?
Yeah.
The truth is the truth.
You do your homework.
The truth is the truth.
And confer and consult with maybe legal minds. But that's, I bring that up because the caller talking about it's all over the place, frustrating. But that's part of the strategy.
That's all distractions.
to create distractions, to distort reality. Matter of fact, we're living it right now every day when we turn on our televisions and listen to any, especially in the U.S., it's designed to create chaos.
Yes.
Misinformation, distorted realities.
Let me
and
just
even put it across as truth. But go ahead.
Let me just say this, sir. Where he said it's all over the place. It's all over the place for him because he's not immersed in it.
Yeah.
He's not entrenched in it. This is my way of life. This is my purpose.
But I would say this here. His line of questioning is his line of questioning. But it did reveal that you didn't read this. This has been out there for some time.
I'm not trying to belittle or just or whatever, saying that where I'm saying he's not immersed in it. I breathe this. I live this. So it's easy for me to articulate. It's by design. That's the systemic side of it, where they want everybody to be confused. That's why the world puts that narrative out there that's premature.
I want to ask this, and caller, it was Rodney, I think it was. And Rodney, you can come back on, or anyone else on this here. It had me thinking, man, in terms of when we're talking about the banks and so forth. And we've had this issue for years in terms of creating our own bank, right? And I'm just curious as to why, we talk about their history, or we could have had our own bank. Black people having our own bank. Mm-hmm. Why we haven't, in place of that, really take them out of the picture and create our own community trust structure where we invest in ourselves. And let's place it in the context of your generation, about family land. It's almost like that. Let's say those persons who lost their home was in there in a community trust structure, right? And through some legality, someone came in, let's say, could it be even a family member, for their share of, and brought in their legal representation that helps to distort the process. But I'm curious as to why we don't hear and talk about setting up a community trust structure as opposed to taking the banks out of the equation. I'm curious. Caller, I appreciate your call. Go ahead. Turn your radio down, please.
Yes. Good evening. Hey, Dr. Lou, how you doing?
Doing well, my brother.
And how's the Honorable King George?
I'm doing just fabulous, as my mother would say.
Yeah, I'm just tuning in, and I heard something about, what did you say, Dr. Lou?
I was curious. Yeah, Rodney Smith had come on and he raised something, man, that had me thinking about this in terms of, the banks. And you know how we always used to, when are we going to have our own bank type of thing?
We're not going to have no bank.
That narrative. And I said, why is it you need a bank? Why? Isn't there another way of doing this, from even setting up a community trust structure where you don't need a bank? Be your own bank.
Yeah, but look. We are not going to have a bank. That's the reality.
All right.
Nobody in the government and prior governments have had the tastitude. They have not had it to bring about a bank. A bank for what? That's the first thing. A bank for who? That's the second thing. A bank that's going to lower mortgages. We know that story. We know that if anybody had the opportunity to put that thing on the table, it would have been Dr. Ewart F. Brown, but he didn't do it. Mm-hmm. Okay? The problem that I have with politicians, it doesn't matter if you're OBA, UBP, PLP, NLP, whatever these parties call themselves, that's not the issue. The issue is, how much is your vote worth? If your vote is just worth, maybe $25 membership with the particular party that's in power, then your vote is worthless. My vote is worth $50 billion, okay? Because you can't tell me that you have banks that are in the banking association, so they agree on certain things. You have your little 6 3/4, offering this week. Next week, I have 6 and a little bit more or a little bit less. It's organized crime. And I'm saying it respectfully. The government, its job is not to do anything but to take care of the people. Does the premier and all those members in parliament sit there just to drive a car, as most people are saying? They have electric cars now. What about the bank? There are institutions that I know about, because I've said it before. There are institutions that will put $3 to $5 billion up in a consumer's bank for 1%. So what's the problem? The problem is to keep the people like us, the people of color, and some people are white that do things to make money on the side. The problem is keep that narrative going crazy, keep the so-called gangbangers gang banging each other, and no one is talking about the real issue. The issue is Bermuda is the most expensive, and you can Google it, the most expensive country in the whole world. So how do we fix it? We fix it with the vote. If you cannot go and put a consumer's bank together and go and get some money, and there's lots of it out there, you can get $3 billion for 1%. And why can't mortgages be 3.5%? Nobody is talking like that. Most people in Bermuda don't want to speak up, because how it used to be back in the UBP days.
They take my house. They're calling my mortgage. Yeah.
Well, call everybody's mortgage. The problem is that it comes down to the will of the people in power. The most seats ever. And there is no banking institution. Actually, answer this question. Why doesn't the Bermuda Industrial Union, Uncle Artie was the president.
Right.
My great uncle, Leonard Bascom, was the first vice president for the Bermuda Workers Union. And when Dr. Edgar Fitzgerald Gordon graduated, my great uncle, Leonard Bascom, he became the first president of the Bermuda Industrial Union. Why can't the Bermuda Industrial Union, why do they have to take their money every day and take it to the Bank of Butterfield? And we have the PLP, the AME, and the BIU all in cahoots, but they hate each other, seemingly. So when is the party going to be honest enough and take off the mask? We are in trouble. The country's in trouble. Mothers are in trouble. I see videos where young girls got organized fights. They don't know. They just think they have to fight. The narrative is we're all out of sync. Our real alignment has to be readjusted. And it gets readjusted from understanding that if I'm selling whatever I'm selling in my neighborhood, and you're coming from another neighborhood to take some of my clients, I have to whack you. Why? Because the money that I'm making, I got to help my mama pay the rent. That's the reality. And when we forget that, we forget the core principle as to why we're living. We're living on earth because everybody has been called by God. In your formation, you ran straight 6 o'clock to 12, Lou. Come on, George. In your formation, you ran from 6 o'clock to 12, you busted up the egg. So if we don't go back to being straight and treating each other straight, this country is going to be like some other countries that are being whacked. It's really what it is. So you can tell the gang coordinator, you can get on the news and say whatever you want to say. But there is a narrative that fits everybody. It's called money. And if you don't have it, you're going to be taken out. So why can't the government fix that? Let's get a consumers legislation piece together. Invite companies to come in and offer low mortgage. Take the bull by the horn and stop playing this banking association who are just taking the people and have been. The biggest thing about the banks is the mortgages. If y'all got $3 billion in mortgages between the 3 or the 4 banks, let's fix that. Let's buy up all the mortgages. I mean, why can't the Progressive Labor Party, why can't they come out and say, this is what we're going to do? And they'll be in power until the rest of time because you fix the money. You fix the lending rates. That's what you do.
Got you.
You want to organize leadership for a country. I mean, a blind person can see that. I mean, for real. So with George and all the things that's going on with the Brown family and the Ming family, I was the systems manager for Julia and Ernest Sinclair Phillips Hall. I remember that whole scene. Monies were put aside to purchase land. So land was sold in the morning for this price and jacked up 100% the same afternoon. Done by people like these John W. Swan and the Bank of Butterfield. They rip these people off, and then always do the same thing like the Honorable Nelson Milborn Hunt. You know what we do?
Yeah.
We owe Nelson millions of dollars, but Trevor Munnis, as an OBA guy, told Nelson, we ain't giving you nothing. And the Progressive Labor Party has not picked up that and gave Nelson back his dignity and all the things that Nelson has done in this country. I mean, what's up with that?
Yeah.
And then your vote's only worth $1.50. My vote is worth $50 billion. Okay? I haven't spoken yet. It's coming a time. I will speak.
Well, I've been quiet because you've been on the flow and you're releasing some jewels.
He sure is.
I mean, for real, listen. Why are we in Bermuda so afraid to say the things that people are doing right? And we're so afraid to say the things that people are doing wrong? But just a bunch of scared people, seemingly, some, maybe, perhaps, maybe many. We're just afraid. We're afraid because we don't know the God in whom put us here. We're afraid because the Bible says, study to show yourself approved unto God. God is a spirit. And God says it's 6 o'clock to 12. But when you tell a lie, you got to go and defend that lie. You're just a devil like your father, Satan.
Yeah.
Let's start telling the truth. And let's start healing some of these schools. In fact, all of the schools. Even the private ones, heal them, because there's a lot of madness going in Bermuda. People are dying, and guys are popping wheelies. The white guys do it, the black children do it.
Every day you see it, and it crosses race, I can tell you that.
Man, everybody's popping wheelies going down Crow Hill. Like, what's up with that?
Yeah, there's a, like you said, there's from a spirit perspective, an invasion of it.
You better believe it is. Listen, man. Listen. This is the best country in the whole wide world, Bermuda. Why? I'm a Bermudian. I could have been born anywhere. Okay? Praise God. We're Bermudians. So what we can do? Let our women down? Teaching young girls how to fight? And they tell me in some schools, and you should know this, Dr. Louis, if you don't know it, homosexuality is rampant in the school.
Yes, it is. It's escalated to another level. And this is...
The country is under supreme attack by evil and wicked demonic spirits. So you have to say, well, who can fix it? Who's running the country? Yeah. Or maybe perhaps the PRP is not running the country. It's the civil servants that run the policy.
Yeah.
Where's the legislation? The Honorable Julian, the King, Ernest Sinclair Phillips Hall, told me when I worked with Julian, he said, unless the Progressive Labor Party keep putting legislation on the table to harness and secure and put the blanket around the people, they will be out and they will be in. They will be out and they will be in. Because they're not taking care of the people. You've got to look at the ball. When you're playing football, and you're playing a lot of ball, and you've been in the net, Lou, you know what balls feel like when they're coming directly at you. But if you're going to have a soft touch and you ask me, should I put the ball in the corner pocket or should I put it up in the pigeonhole? What kind of half-baked question is that? Well, look, we have lost and we are losing our whole composure based upon the narrative of where can we get decent money for decent interest rates. We can get it, okay? When you form associations, you don't want nobody come out. You don't want a new bank come in because the association tells the government no. So who is really the leader?
Yeah.
Who's leading the people's who's leading the people's flag? Now, I'm not talking about a green and white flag, PRP, I don't know what the other color. What is the OVA? Red and
black. Red and blue or red and black? Red, I know, it's definitely red.
Hey,
yeah.
You can put up any flag, okay? They got a white church on Church Street flying the pride flag. You know what God says about the pride flag? God told Moses, tell the people, when they see the bow in the sky, remind the people the next time it's not going to be with water, it's going to be with fire for the backside. And that's what we're feeling right now because we took our eyes off the bow. The bow is the people.
Yeah.
Treat the people right. Keep the people
Let me
right.
let me ask you this here, given that because there's consistency in terms of for the people, and as I was discussing with George prior to this here, even we have a constitutional order, and this warrants our courageousness that goes with the legislation that you say this government or any government should be putting out there on behalf of its people. But we keep talking about this constitutional reform, and it will warrant a constitution reform that moves us closer to our republic. But our maturity is not there yet. And so when I hear you, well, you made it very clear. We're not there. We're not ready for no bank. For what?
Right.
Yeah.
And let me leave by saying this. And I haven't.
What you want a bank for? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me leave by saying this, and I want to speak to the PLP leadership. Tell you something, right? We do the same thing that other countries do to people who we know are smart and people who we know are gifted and people who we know have the will of the people at heart. Let me drop this one on you. Look at Brother Ralph Commission.
Yeah.
Brilliant in everything that he does.
Yeah.
Some people don't like him because they don't go and study or, take the dictionary up and study the words that he uses sometimes. But you can't help being a Ralph Commission if you are serious about who and what you are. You see, you are who you are and what you are because of one thing. It's the dominating thoughts that occupy your mind. You take a guy like Ralph Commission and he gets jacked up and don't even get used at all by the Progressive Labor Party. They don't use Ralph for nothing. Why? Because we believe that when we arrive at the seat that we arrive in, we think that we're going to be there for life. What? 1 or 2 terms, and then what? You treat your people bad today, you will be treated badly tomorrow. Why can't we, the government, use a Ralph Commission right now?
Yeah.
If anybody needs
or Donald Smith.
Hey, listen, no, you ain't got to me. If anybody needs help right now, it's the game coordinator.
Yeah.
And Ralph Commission is the best in the business. But they wouldn't use a Ralph Commission. Why? Because Ralph is going to make himself look good. Are you stupid? Ralph don't make himself look good. Ralph knows that God has got his back, his front, his top, and his bottom. Most of the people in the Progressive Labor Party, particularly those that don't want to use a Ralph Commission, and I'm not picking on Ralph, but I can observe and see things. Most of these people that don't want to use a Ralph Commission in any capacity are people that are selfish, and they've learned to be selfish because they backbite you.
Or they're intimidated.
Yeah, they're intimidated.
Yeah.
They stab you in the back. They put a puncher in your eye. They stabbed, like they jabbed up Jesus and put a javelin through his heart, busted up all the vessels. That's what they do to people like a Ralph Commission or anybody that dare to stand up and speak truth. To what power? There's no power in Bermuda. The power that we have to look at is this Melissa. She might do a turn. Pray not. Pray against that Melissa girl, right? She's coming with a bee with a itch. She's scratching, okay? And if you don't think that it's kind of like joke, this so-called storm. If you think it's a joke, call somebody. I'm had a couple of calls already. Jamaica is smashed all up.
Yeah.
Why can't Bermuda get smashed up? God is warning. I could take you to the scripture, man. God controls all the elements of the earth. Remember, he spoke rings around Saturn, told the ocean, you ain't come far. Back up. Okay, God's running everything, and if we are supposed to be the type of, well, I'm not a Christian, I'm a believer. Okay, but if we're supposed to be this Christian nation, everybody's a Christian. The crooked cop, crooked doctor, crooked judge. Okay, everybody's a Christian. The homosexual is a Christian. So some of my best friends are some homosexual. I don't come against that because God could fix that too. But everybody's a Christian. I'm not a Christian. You cannot associate me with any denomination or religious persuasion. I'm a believer and make it true. If you come short of lane, you're going to have to hit the ball over there by where Charlie Marshall fields out. Charlie ain't no dummy. He fields out on the boundary. He ain't running between the wicket, running up trying to catch a ball. Okay? You're going to have to feel out, Bermuda. You better come right, Bermuda. You come right by thinking right.
Yes.
All the selfishness that's going on, people losing their houses left, right, and center. Girls are on girls and boys on boys. Homosexuality is rampant, and the pastors are not speaking about it. Some, we know the pastors who speak against it, and they get railroaded. Come on, man. And let me say one other thing before I leave, and thanks for taking my man.
I'm letting the spiritual connotations, man. I'm integrating the spiritual connotations into the subject matter. It's timely. Go ahead.
Listen, you are who you are and what you are because of the dominating thoughts that occupy your mind. If the dominating thoughts that occupy your mind from those that are juggling whatever they're juggling in the street, the narrative is the money. If you can't fix the money, then you need to get out of the business of running the government, because you're not running the government. The white collar runs the government. The blue collar runs the government. Okay? When's the last time you saw the premier write a check from the government's coffers? He doesn't do that. A lot of people think that the PLP writes the checks. They just don't know. They just don't know. All I'm saying is, to Bermuda, we better wake up and wake up quick and pay attention, because me today, you tomorrow. They come after you. That's what they do. And if you look like you're going to shine more than the next person, they hold that against you. Yep. When they hold you back, they're holding back the God in you, and then God licks them, and they wonder what happened. People lying and cheating and carrying on stupid.
Amen, my brother.
In this country, we're in trouble. But one more shout out. The government needs to get off that jealousy, ignorant talk, and bring Ralph Commission in to the policy room right now, and let him go to work, and he will show up. Anybody. Because why? That's the knowledge base that God put in him. Is a very smart guy. I haven't talked to him for a minute, okay? And rightfully so. I ain't talking to nobody. I'm just watching and waiting and watch when God is going to do what he's supposed to do to this country if they don't hurry up and pay attention. How much is your vote worth? That's the ending question. How much is your vote worth, Bermuda? How much is it worth?
There you go,
How much is you can get anybody cheap in cricket. Oh, he got out cheap. He didn't even get one run. Why? Because the burden was right. How much is your vote worth? You're in today, you're out tomorrow. No matter about the next term. It's real talk. You're not defending and taking care of the people. That's the ball. You take the eye off the ball, that's the people. You can't score no runs.
Got you, my brother.
Yes.
Tell you that. God bless you guys. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you.
France. Good night. Good night.
Oh.
Yeah, France. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say this. I just want to repeat a quote that somebody gave me recently.
Mm-hmm.
It says this: "It's no longer our job to make the sheep. It's time to make the other lions."
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Donald, for coming on.
Yep. Lions.
And I'm just listening and paying attention.
Appreciate you, sir.
You know exactly what to do.
Thanks a lot.
Just keep on keeping on.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Good night, France.
Hey, good evening, Dr. Lou.
Good evening, my brother.
How you doing?
Hey, peaceful.
And Mr. Brown, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing just fine.
Very good conversation we're having here, and lots of input from all around Bermuda. But getting back to the discussion, looking back at how this inquiry well, not the inquiry, but how this land grab actually started. And the most insulting thing about it was that it was dealt with in the Honorable House of Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
And that needs to be taken very serious back in 1620 when it actually happened. And it was under a governor, what was his name? General James Wilcock, who had absolute power at that time when he was appointed by the Crown to be governor of Bermuda. And during that particular time, they didn't have no ministries, and of course, these developers...
Well, it was of the oligarchs during that time.
Yeah, well, they didn't have no ministry. The governor was the one who had absolute power to be able to run the country as he saw fit at that particular time, because it was all new and no parliament was set up with the ministries or this department, that department, home affairs, and that. Like how we see now, we're trying to put this thing back to right in the sense of the way we govern now. But looking back at that particular time is where we need to start and make the British government, who appointed the Crown, who actually appointed this governor at that time, and allowed that Honorable House of Assembly to be used for this particular type of land grab due to the fact of the developers at that time wanted to take the land, and they forced you actually to sell the land, and if you refuse, they still took it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all because they was trying to avoid any type of opposition from anybody at that time, and this is why we have this situation we have now.
So you're really saying then? I mean, I know with what we've been sharing in terms of the Commission of Inquiry, giving some historical context as it relates to the 15, 18 persons who were of that inquiry, but you are going deeper into the origin and how it basically plays out. It plays out to our current realities.
Yes.
So there's some merit to that. So what they say, of all our studies, history is best qualified to reward all research. Well, that's what you've done with this here.
What I'm actually getting to, if they used the Honorable House of Assembly to bring about this upon the people by one governor who had absolute power at the time, General James
Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
It should end in the Honorable House of Assembly with debate in which that is presently that needs to be dealt to deal with this situation to make it right. There should be no excuses for anybody who is in charge of the country to not to have this sorted out if it's already been.
I want to take the next call because you've raised something, because George, that brings up your argument of why this should be debated in the House.
Mm-hmm.
Because it started in the House.
It started in the House, and as you've said, and our caller has said, that's where it should also end.
Can I just add to that?
In the sense, let me finish over. In the sense that we, as the representatives of the British Empire, the oldest colony of Britain,
right,
and the Crown, and they're called the Crown Jewel Colony, and all of that bit, and then we go by the Westminster system of government. It's also the responsibility of the Crown and the government in England to make sure that this is sorted out in the proper manner in which it needs to be sorted out, because it's an insult to the people of Bermuda, being the representative of the Crown.
Mm-hmm. That was your clarity earlier, George.
Your House of Parliament to be used in this manner.
I appreciate you bringing that clarity, my brother.
Thank you very much, sir.
Gave it some serious historical grounding. That was part of your argument in terms of, no, this is at the Westminster level in the UK. There is
it's precedence for it.
There's precedence for it here in Bermuda.
Yeah. What I would like to say, I really and truly don't believe the government is stalling on this matter or trying to not have it debated. What I see what's happening through my assessment is that there's a lot of procedural matters that has to play itself out first. And
is it that it has to be played out first? But I also understood that there's other things that's been pushed into this that may be delaying it. When we talk about the other two complaints.
And when I say procedural matters, it's got nothing to do with the findings of the report. It's got nothing to do with the recommendations. It's got nothing to do with the panel that signed off on it. It's just from my assessment and understanding, and even speaking to the AG's office here in Bermuda,
Right.
it's 2 disgruntled claimants that are holding this up. And they have been heard at the Supreme Court level, they have
Right.
been heard at the appeals court level, and the cases have both been dismissed.
Right.
It's time the Premier, I believe, and the Speaker stand up and get this matter debated in the House, because that's the right thing to do. It's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
It started there, it needs to end there.
It's like the last caller. Nah.
You know,
There's the grounds for it to be handled and addressed. It started, like you said.
all it
in
needs,
government.
right? All it needs,
They must end it.
It just needs to be framed in the proper context under the separation of power, utilizing the tools of sub judice, which means they can speak based on 2 different concepts. They don't need to speak to the Piper and Davis matter, because that has nothing to do what's in the findings.
Got you.
They didn't get a kick off the ball. I get that. I'd probably be upset too. But the rules are the rules, and if they feel those rules were not adhered to, there's a platform for that, and that's through the judicial system. But let's let these people rest. The other 18 claimants, let the island heal. Let the wrongs of the past be corrected.
I got you. It warrants, you know, just reflecting and listening to, you know, all the callers tonight and the complexity of this issue. I mean, certainly, you know, listening to Donald on the issue. The work that has to be done warrants serious actions on our part. But I question, what's our courage? What's our courage to get it done?
Well, I will say this, and I don't know if I don't think it will get me in trouble for saying it, because I'm just speaking the truth. I actually spoke to the AG's office today, and their mindset is that because these 2 claimants are not represented by lawyers, they're giving them all the necessary attention that it takes to say that it's been substantially dismissed.
Some due process.
Correct. But now it's clear to me that it's delay tactics, and it's just personal vendettas that they didn't get heard. Because all I'm doing is flipping the script. If I went to the Privy Council back in March and got eligibility check granted, here it is now October, the year is almost out, and nothing's at the Privy Council. But yet they go to the World Gazette and say this matters before the Privy Council, and that's the narrative that gets created. And then you got the politicians or whatever not even investigating this matter. I'm doing the investigation for the public.
Yeah, you've investigated.
I'm investigating for the public.
It is not. Yeah.
You know, I mean, I just don't get it.
Hence your suspicions of delay tactics.
It's clear to me.
And the frustrations that it engenders. Good night, caller. Go ahead.
Yeah, Lou?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, calling back.
Yes, go ahead. I was hoping you would call back and elaborate some things that have been said. Go ahead.
Yeah. Our brother there, he is passionate about his issue. Mm-hmm. And he called the name of Piper and Khalid. Mm-hmm. But they have legitimate concerns, too.
Yeah, I think he agrees to that.
You know,
but
yeah. So we need to be careful that we are not co-opted.
Yeah. No, I think he agrees that they have their legitimate concerns.
But it's a platform
but he feels their concerns are being used to delay concerns of those who've gone through the process.
Sure, because it takes money to work yourself through the system. It's designed that way. That's why John Darrell had to sell house after house after house, going around in circles, over and over and over to get where.
But I want to be clear, because with that argument that you're bringing, still, those 2 can fight their case
through the judicial system.
Why through a system that was closed? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like it's been opened up again.
No.
Or
It hasn't been opened up again.
Well, not open. Well, certainly.
The Commission of Inquiry has dissolved.
That's dissolved, but they've been afforded a platform to put their case
through the judicial system. And that's it. I'm not speaking in.
But the judicial system process is delaying what took place with the Commission of Inquiry.
Well, because they're saying that all legal challenges need to be exhausted before it's debated.
Gotcha.
So that's the carrot in the room, and the legal challenges now are becoming phantoms.
I got you. All right. So
but let me go on to say we're talking about black people view land ownership differently. Okay, we had nowhere to live. Once we got the chance to earn, all effort went into owning the property, then paying it off, and then securing the deeds. That's
all right.
In Bermuda, we have thousands of homes in Bermuda that are free and clear by blacks, worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
But we can't tap into that equity, Lou. The banking system has assured us that they will not allow us. As I talk about banks,
okay,
they won't allow us.
And that's what triggered my thinking, Rodney, with what you said. Why in that scenario, given your experience and background in terms of real estate and real estate investing, why haven't we thought in terms of setting up in those scenarios, those thousands of homes that you're talking about? Just say a community, a community trust structure where those lands and properties become part of the asset building. I mean, some people might say, "Oh, well, let's invest in gold and put it in that trust to multiply wealth." But here it is real estate that is multiplying the wealth in the way that we do it. Why not a community trust structure as opposed to the bank? You wouldn't need a bank, would you?
Well, but you still need that property has to be liquidated, as it were, for you to be able to generate cash. Like you have your deeds at the bank, I have my deeds at the bank, and the bank wants to borrow money from other banks or whatever. They put up our deeds as the fact that they have security to back the money they want to borrow. So we still need to be able to get some liquid cash. We need to bring a player in Bermuda big enough to just buy up every mortgage in Bermuda and give the people, the average man, a chance to breathe. That's all. 1 or 2% decrease on your mortgage is thousands.
Yeah.
Thousands of dollars. But let me go on. Someone made mention about years ago. The governor still runs Bermuda. Okay? He still runs Bermuda. Who reports to him every week, Lou?
Yeah.
Huh? And he can call on any minister at any time to show up at his door
anytime
to report to him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Your colony.
Yeah. That's right. We are socialized. Dealing with Bermudians, we are socialized through institutions. Okay? Name the institutions in Bermuda.
Socialized or indoctrinated or what? Or both. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say, that based on the mentality of the institution, it's how it ends upon us. Huh? So, I had a personal situation where I went to buy a piece of land. Someone put their deeds up for me. When the conveyance was done, the lawyer was going to send the deed for security plus the deed for the property I just bought to the bank. I said, no, the bank already has their security. Give me my deeds. They do so much foolishness to tie us up so that we don't have access to the very deed that once a time ago allowed us to buy the new car, allowed us to put the children through school, allowed us to pay for the wedding, allowed us to do all types of things if we had the deed. Now, the property is dead. Look, the BMA in Bermuda is a toothless
regulatory body.
It's the lion. It's toothless. It is toothless because they cannot tell the banks anything. They cannot tell the banks anything. The banks have free run in Bermuda, and since all this increase in interest rate, imagine your mortgage rate going up another $2,000 or $3,000 in payment.
Right.
And even if the rates are cut in America, have you noticed down in Bermuda?
Bermuda's goes up or stays the same high interest rate.
So,
Yeah.
look,
You don't go down.
Saying, look. The system will not allow, Lou, the system will not allow you to bring it down. You got to understand what we're fighting against.
Yeah.
Who are the gatekeepers? The governor, the premier, the civil servants, the church leaders. They are the gatekeepers. And many others, they are gatekeepers. They won't allow you to bring the system down. So you may elect a black government, but has anything essentially changed? I can't hear you, Lou.
Well, no.
But you understand.
Yeah.
It's not the
No, I get the argument. I get the argument.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, as we've been talking about, well, as you're saying it, if there's any changes to be made, it has to come from those people who you're saying are not going to change it. So I ask this question, and there's enough evidence of what's even going on globally in terms of the people taking actions. But you already said it. We're socialized. We're too socialized to bring about an action to change our circumstances and conditions.
Yes,
and in that socialization is still that fear.
Yeah, that's right. You are correct.
Yeah.
These are rewritten by who, Lou?
Tell me.
Lawyers.
Yeah.
You have a
rewritten and manipulated.
A lawyer.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you. I personally hired a lawyer that I found was working for the other side.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand what goes on in Bermuda.
Yeah.
You cannot bring the system down. They will not allow you. They will frustrate you to no end. And in fact,
that's George's position on this here. It's designed to frustrate you.
Co-optation may be that George may get a result.
Yeah.
And in him getting a result, he may deny Piper and Khalid.
Got you.
Co-optation. The system is clever.
Appreciate you, brother. Top of the hour. Appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Lou.
Yeah, I appreciate the insight. Look, go ahead, George. This is very complex.
It's complex for the casual listener, and I get that. It's not complex for me.
Yeah, you're living it.
I'm living it. And,
it's a lived experience with you.
And I want the whole world to know, the Bermuda public definitely know. I have no axe to grind against Piper and Davis. I want the matter to be addressed, but in my assessment and based on my research and what happens out of the UK parliamentary, their voices should be heard, but it should be heard under the right concept, sub judice. They can use the separation of power, let that matter run through the court. Then the commission of inquiry has been dissolved, so that they can't go back in front of the commission and have their case heard. So maybe it's another form for them, but it shouldn't create this blockage for the other 18 claimants.
Got you.
It just shouldn't. The implications are profound. What's come out of their report, and here we are now, approaching 5 years since the report has been wrapped up.
Yeah.
And some things are just like how we tell children. Is 1 + 1 = 2. That's simplistic. All I'm saying, let's just use some logic here before we close. If the Privy Council says under Rule 12, Section 2, bring me your paperwork within 28 days, and here it is 7 months and everything's been silent, silence. Justice delayed is justice denied in my eyes. And all I'm saying, the AG that I'm spoke to today, I'm not going to call her name, I enlightened her and told her about the real. I said, why are we even entertaining this? Even with Mr. Davis bringing a constitutional matter to Supreme Court that's going to be heard November 5th. 5 years later, why now? So my little intern is telling me there's special interest behind this. That's what it's telling me. And if it's not, then let's get the matter debated and be heard under the right framework.
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Bottom line. My brother, you have you brought us a subject matter that has stretched our thinking, stretched mine, that's for sure, on the legal matters, and it pushes us to, really pushes you to deeper investigation on these matters, but also as it is deeper investigation, not just on your matters, but again, placing it in the context of our current realities. When we talk about our cost of living issues and all of that.
And I just want to say one last thing. We talk about how we're the richest and the most expensive country in the world, blah, 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 blah. Well, a commission of inquiry that took place to correct some wrongs of the past, the injustice, and all of that. And you're going to tell me that this matter cannot make it to the House of Assembly to be debated? It don't add up to me.
Got you.
It just don't add up to me. It started in the House, it should end in the House.
We're not going to end this show with this subject matter because you're still fighting the fight. And like I said, I think it's important for us in Bermuda to be updated on your case because it places into context, as we have heard tonight, you know, our own current economic realities in this country and what we stand to gain, but also what we need to stop the losing, what we're losing right now. Right. You know, we stand to gain so much with the fight that, yes, you have on the table.
And I just want the world to know the fight that I have is the passion that I know of all the pain and suffering that was inflicted on my family and my ancestors. That's my fight. My fight ain't with nobody other than letting the truth just be told.
There you go. There you go.
It's just the truth here.
More truth to be told, people. Let me just give you a preview of what's coming up. Of course, in the coming weeks, Bermuda play. What are we doing? Bermuda play Curacao. So we'll be doing something on the 12th. Let me put that there. We're doing something on the 12th with Dennis Brown and a few other of our former greats. Part analysis on the match. Hopefully Bermuda wins this one. Mm. Hopefully. So we're going to have that type of conversation coming up. And then either on the 19th or the 26th, we'll have Chris Furbert in. And that's been some interesting investigation around what we saw with the minister, Lightburn, had in papers in terms of the cost of living in their form. But we have some questions as well as some deeper conversations on the whole cost of living issue. These are all subject matters that are forthcoming in the in the few weeks that we have. In November, in December, Chuck Collins. Look up the name. I've had Chuck Collins on probably last time Chuck Collins was on probably 2021. He's the grandson of Oscar Mayer and billionaire. So we're going to have some conversations with him, his new book. But you'll be surprised how this book has direct correlations to Bermuda. You were saying something, George.
I was asking about the Bermuda dry wash.
Oh, my God. Yes, man. And let me just say, people, this show is dedicated and brought to you actually by Bermuda Dry Wash. You know, our sister Kim Wilson, Bermuda Dry Wash. Let me just say, people, we know that many of our businesses, especially small businesses, are doing the best that they can. My appreciation about what Bermuda Dry Wash and Kim Wilson is doing. She's hiring. You know, this is a business that's growing. And when I see some of the young men whom she has hired, really, that's some of the work that, and we know many businesses are providing that type of service, but when you see this work, it's really providing a service that disrupts some of the madness that we see going on with many young black men in Bermuda. Nah, this sister's taking the bull by the horns and creating job opportunity, business opportunity. And I say those of you others who are doing like-mindedness, share it with us, because it needs to be told, it needs to be heard, because not every one of our young black men are endorsing or subjected to some of the gangbang that we see going on. So, hey, this has been a very intellectually, legally engaging conversation, full of its complexities. Certainly warrants deeper inspection, right? Lots of questions. And I say to people, as George has made it clear, no, this isn't a Brown thing. This is a Bermuda thing, if we're really paying attention. So, like we say, we don't fight it on any one front. We fight it on all fronts. Mm-hmm. See you next week.
Thank you.
This festive season, Cedar Bridge Academy is your all-in-one destination for unforgettable celebrations. From elegant holiday parties and family gatherings to end-of-year award ceremonies and feature performances, we have the perfect space for it all. Choose the spacious Ruth Seton James Center for the Performing Arts, for grand productions, Discovery Hall for receptions and dinners, or our cozy library for intimate get-togethers. Want something outdoors? Our beautiful north and south courtyards are perfect for seasonal celebrations under the stars. With ample parking, setup, and AV support, on-site security, and a dedicated team ready to help, everything you need is right here. And for a limited time, enjoy special festive season discounts on all venue rentals. Call 525-5665. That's 525-5665. Or email cbarentals@cedarbridge.doe.bm to book now. Cedar Bridge Academy, where every celebration comes to life.
Happy, jolly.
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.